Hi, today we're excited to have another superstar as a guest on the D&D podcast or web series, whatever you want to call it, with 1inch. Today's guest is Kirill, who is the lead blockchain engineer at the 1inch project. Kirill, how are you today?
Hello, very great, excellent.
Okay, awesome. So let's get started. Let's talk about your background. What were you doing prior to 1inch, and why specifically 1inch? And then we'll kickstart from there.
Yeah, let's start. I'll start with the history of my journey, how I went to the developing sphere, and when I was in university, I was a Microsoft student partner. This is the organization for students that made some workshops, participate in hackathons, or organize the hackathons, and we help people from other universities to learn more about the technologies. And I started from this point. One thing that I'm happy that I started this participation in this program with the blockchain background. The first thing that I did there is I made workshops for students, and I told them about the blockchain. And the interesting thing that I studied the material 3-4 days before the workshop and learned a lot from this training and pass on the knowledge to other people about the solidity and development of Web3. People very like it, and they inspired by our lessons, and we really teach a lot from our study. And also I participated with my team in hackathons. Hackathons, it's like a competition where you can build your product in 2 days and present it. That's a really awesome competition where you can find new interesting people and learn a lot of new technologies, know about new products, projects, their technology. And I think that hackathons, it's much more better than just visit some maybe master classes or online courses, because this is a real experience. And on the my first hackathon, I won it with my team. We know almost nothing, but we try hard there, and we won this hackathon. And we continue to participate in different hackathons in my town, in my city. And some of them we lose, but most of them we won, and won in lots of nominations. In May of 2018, I met Anton. This is a CTO of 1inch, on proof of skill hackathon. And I was there as an organizer and he as a participant. And he made there the multi-token protocol, one of the first after rebalancing crypto portfolio project. And we gave him the first place. And also a few years ago, me and my team launched our first crypto startup. We built a crypto wallet inside the Telegram that not storing users' private keys. And since that moment, we graduated from MIT Player Labs accelerator. We were invited there by the MIT University, and we continue to visit not only internal hackathons, but we started our career in international hackathons. We visit about 15 international hackathons. All of these hackathons is Ethereum hackathons. We were at Ethereum San Francisco, Ethereum Berlin, Ethereum Berlin 2, Ethereum Singapore, Ethereum New York, Denver, and other Ethereum hackathons. And the interesting thing that we lose on the first our hackathon, because we built the ZK Snark application that nobody understand except us, and we don't give up, and we didn't give up, and we continue to visit these hackathons, and all other hackathons we won in different nominations. We learn a lot of in DeFi space about their protocols, about their products. We built on top of those protocols, and it was a really awesome experience. And one of the hackathons, it was Ethereum New York. It was Ethereum Singapore. We met with Sergey Kunz. It's a CEO, or it's a co-founder of 1inch, and he on this hackathon he built with Anton the first version of 1inch, and it was very cool product. I remember that in the middle of night we was very sleep and want to go to bed, but we try hard, and I helped him with the mathematics stuff for the one split protocol. This is first on-chain protocol for aggregation different dexes, and my team won different nominations, and Sergey and Anton team won some nominations there. And about less than 1 year later, I joined to the team as a first or second developer, except Anton and Sergey, and started my very interesting journey deeping into blockchain sphere more deeply, not from the crypto wallet side, but I dive into the DeFi space more, and yeah, here we are. Since that moment, we built a lot, we learned a lot, we grow our team from 3-5 people to more than 50 people. And I really like what I did, because I explore new opportunities in technology. In 1inch, I built a lot of new interesting protocols, technological stuff, learn other protocols, integrate it, and this is my life. I like it.
Amazing. So Covalent also started a hackathon. And this is one of the reasons we typically run. So in the first 3 or 4 months of the year, we run 6 hackathons, right? That we sponsor. We run, like D&D, like the 1inch D&D hackathon is a special, like a flagship hackathon. The 1 million wallets, we run that twice this year. And then we also do the ETH Global hackathons. So we're huge in hackathons because Covalent also started like a hackathon. Me and a couple of people just built the first version of Covalent at a hackathon over 2 days, ended up winning that prize there, and that's how we started the company, right? So I'm very fond of hackathons, and you just learn so much, and it's a pretty amazing experience. I'm not going to lie. Okay, very cool. So let's talk about like a day at 1inch. What do you do day to day? You say you're a blockchain engineer, but does this mean on the Solidity side? Does it mean the pathfinding algorithms on the technical side? Is it like DevOps? Like what is it that you do at 1inch exactly?
I think I cover all the spheres inside the 1inch. I'm the blockchain lead engineer in 1inch, and I also integrating new protocols, new liquidity sources to 1inch. Also, I write some smart contracts, some helper smart contracts, maybe sometimes protocols. I covered the API stuff or Pathfinder stuff. I think I'm not covering mobile wallet and DevOps side, but from the 1inch product as a DAO and DEX aggregator, I cover all the spheres.
That's quite a breadth that you cover, from smart contracts to the pathfinding algorithm. You're very impressive. So out of these things, what are you most excited about with your role?
The most interesting thing that I know, I think almost all inside the 1inch, and I know about new protocols. I take part in all integrations, all building all new protocols, services for these protocols, and I like to build new products inside the 1inch and learn more about other products. It's something like the entry point of all technical communications inside the 1inch.
Interesting. Okay, awesome. So let's talk about what tooling you use day to day. Like let's start with something simple. Like what's your IDE? Do you use like Visual Studio Code, or use Emacs or VI, all the way to, like hard hat on the smart contract side? So let's just go through all the tools that you use.
All tools. Okay. I forgot to say that I'm working not on smart contracts and backend side. I also working on the front end side.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
For front end side and some parts of the backend side, I use WebStorm IDE, and for the backend side, I use Golang, I use Covalent, Visual Studio Code. For Solidity, it's Truffle, and also Remix. Our Solidity team, I think, migrated from the Truffle to Hard Hat, but I'm not deeply. I know about Hard Hat not enough because I'm working on the Truffle. Yeah. What else? I have different interesting bots inside the 1inch, just for fun, about tracking transactions, for example, and what else interesting? I like to discover transactions, explore what's happening inside the transaction. I have a services that allows me to have a stack trace of the transaction, and also I have a tool that allows to parse this stack trace in more readable hex encoded data, and figure out what's going on with some transaction, why it's failed, or why something else happened, or how this how some guys maybe take a flash loan and destroy some product. Yeah, it's interesting thing. What else? What else? What else? Interesting. Maybe I very like the graph protocol. Really love, because they using them I can get all needed data, all historical data to analyze some data, or just for statistics. We have Uniswap method inside our smart contract, and this is more optimized in case of gas costs router for Uniswap-like pools, and this router written in mostly on assembly, and there are no events inside this method, and the graph allows me to parse all Uniswap's transactions with the function calls. Yeah. Also, I like indexers like bulk book, public indexers. It allows to also find the tokens on account, sparse tokens on account, more detailed transactions data. Yeah. Also, I have some scripts in Visual Studio Code. I divide Visual Studio Code and WebStorm for two parts. Visual Studio Code I use for production code, and WebStorm I use for production code, and Visual Studio Code is for some small scripts, so that allows me to test some things, look at the data, some blocks before the current, and discover some data in the past maybe, or make a request to the graph and collect some data. Yeah, this is interesting tools.
Very cool. So it's quite the spread. Now I'm curious about the usage of your data layer, like the graph. Is there a reason you do not emit events from your contracts from the router? Does it cost gas?
Yes, we have two entry points inside our aggregation contract. The first one is just swap and discounted swap with the Chi token. Chi token, it's a token that allows you to reduce your gas costs. You can mint this token when gas cheaper. This token is deployed some small contracts, and next you can burn this token with the 1-inch swap and clear some memory cells in the blockchain, and get a discount for the swap. And this first two functions. And the third function is Uniswap. This is optimized Uniswap router for uni-like pools, and we do not emit events because of gas costs. We won about 10% of gas from the Uniswap's one router.
Okay. And did you write the subgraph for the graph, or someone else wrote that?
Yes, yes. I'm also writing subgraphs for the graph. I made about maybe 10 graphs or more. One for alt 1-inch protocol, it's Uniswap, one for 1-inch liquidity protocol, for all three versions of our aggregation protocol, for government's data from the DAO, for the rewards that counted each week, and other helpful graphs.
Very cool. Awesome. Let's talk about the multi-chain, the landscape, how it's changing so fast. So my understanding is we actually had a call with Sergey and Anton last week. So it's very insightful to understand the journey of 1-inch. But my understanding is that 1inch deployed to Binance Smart Chain first, and then now has recently deployed onto Polygon. So can you share what kind of new challenges has this multi-chain thing opened up? Like what is an assumption you made that hasn't held true because of the multi-chain stuff?
Yes, I can talk about technical side, and the good thing about all of this free chains that all of these chains are Ethereum-like, and you can just use the same RPC methods for the node. The nodes are pretty the same, and all infrastructure on top of this, including smart contracts and Solidity language. It's cool stuff, and it's pretty simple to add new Ethereum-like chains because we already have an architecture for this stuff, and this is the good things. It's for us, it's easy to integrate. But the bad thing is that some chains is not stable, and nodes of those chains are not stable. And for example, Binance Smart Chain, maybe a week ago, had a problem with the nodes, with the synchronization of the nodes, and we, the Binance team, and all participants of Binance Smart Chain tried to fix this issue. We tried to fix it inside our services, like made something like fallbacks, different nodes, and other stuff. And the support of different protocols, it's hard because they have different endpoints and need to handle all the failures of these endpoints. But as for developer and not DevOps, it's it's interesting and I think fast to integrate.
So something that's non-EVM based, like Solana, if you were to consider porting 1inch to Solana, because I think there's a Radium on Solana which has a lot of traction. How much work is it to do this? So I guess there are two parts. One is the 1inch protocol itself may or may not have to move. I don't know. Would love some insight there. And the second is tapping into the liquidity sources on Solana. So these two answers, how much work is it to do these two things?
Actually, I don't know a lot about Solana. What the is it like EVM or?
It's not EVM.
Not EVM. I think we are not yet discover more opportunities for other chains, not only Ethereum like. And we have one interesting thing to deploy to the Optimism layer 2 solution, but the release of Optimism was delayed and not released yet, and we are really waiting for this solution to allow user to not to pay big costs for the transactions and have faster transactions. But we don't discover Solana and other not event-based blockchains.
My understanding is even Optimism requires some tweaks to your smart contracts. It's not just, so because they have their own OEVM implementation, and it's not quite one-to-one.
We already tried the Optimism testnet and deployed some of our contracts to test it. And yes, we need to change something. For example, Optimism don't have Ethereum native currency, and there are no balance inside the contract or message value and other not supported opcodes inside the optimism.
Wait, there are no balances inside the contract? That's interesting.
But balance of the native currency. Optimism supports only tokens. For example, I think for Ethereum, it will wrap Ethereum.
So, okay, so the native gas currency is not like a optimism currency or anything. There's no token there.
On testnet, I sent the transaction with 0 gas, and I think that optimism doesn't have gas, but I may be wrong.
Okay, got it.
But I tried it with the 0 gas.
Okay, awesome. So what is your perspective on the space? Like what is like excited? What are you excited about outside of 1inch? What's happening in the space that's very exciting? So I would say, let me actually front run this question, right? Last year, I would say Jan or Feb, I was really excited by the flash loan technology that Aave introduced. That was like mind blowing. And then what happened with that is all the hacks started. And Uniswap V2, they added the synchronization of the reserves, so you can't smash the liquidity by a flash loan and then jack up the prices or jack down the prices. So that was like an exciting piece of technology. What is something that's new that you recently came across or you're looking forward to in the next coming weeks that you can share with our community?
Maybe I saw a lot of interesting dexes like Curve in past year. They released a really great protocol for stable coins swapping trading, and eighth version 2 was very interesting thing that I really like the concept of collateral borrowing and other stuff. You can build on top of these protocols your protocols. For example, using Cave, you can build margin trading and also using 1inch. If you can combine some different protocols, you can create new protocols. Like 1inch combine all the dexes, all the protocols inside the DeFi space, and if, for example, if you can choose 1inch and eighth, and also flash loans, you can combine these free technologies and protocols and create margin trading, for example. And what else interesting? The farming stuff is very cool to attract more liquidity to the liquidity pool, and some can earn interest and lock their liquidity, and other people can swap trade tokens using this liquidity. One interesting thing that the first on-chain farming contract was made by Anton Bukov, and he made it for synthetics, and this is very impressive thing in the DeFi space. Lots of projects started to use this contract to do farming, and a few months ago we released multi-farming contract that allows to earn not only one token but 2, 3 or more tokens. It can be helpful for collaboration of several projects on the combining liquidity, for example. Yes.
Very cool. Okay, and then I'm curious about 1inch's features that you think the community does not appreciate enough. What is it that you like to highlight?
Not appreciate. You mean community don't like?
No,
Or
as in, so sometimes, you build some software and you think this is the greatest thing, right? This is an amazing piece of technology. But then you launch it and the community does not understand it. They don't know how to use it, or it's overlooked, or it just happened to be a bad day to launch it because something else happened, like Bitcoin crashed, right? And then you'll miss that opportunity. So is there something like that in 1inch, which you think personally that it's very cool, but not a lot of people think that yet? It's like a little like Easter egg or like some secret with which you like to highlight.
I think the most not understandable thing by the community is the 1inch itself, because a lot of people use Uniswap with the 0.3% of slippage from each trade, and they lose a lot of money on the slippage, and they don't know that they can aggregate across different dexes and catch better rate than on Uniswap, like maybe Sushi. And also they don't know that if they worry about the gas fees, they don't know that they can use 1inch with the Uniswap router that is more cheaper than Uniswap's router, and 1inch the first not fully understandable product. The second feature, maybe it's stealth transactions. If you use, for example, provider that allows you to sign the transaction before the sending to the network. For example, when someone use Ledger for interacting with 1inch, we allow user to send the stealth transaction. This is like when you send the transaction, and this transaction not visible outside of the miner's mempool, and no one on the ethers can see this transaction, and this transaction can be shown to people only after the confirmation. And this is interesting feature that protects you from front running, because past several months the flashbots is very active, and if you set high slippage tolerance on your trade, they can catch your funds and revert your transaction. Yeah, or not revert, or just steal your money, and this is not good. What else? Maybe people don't understand how works automated market makers, because people try to compare liquidity inside the pool, inside the 1inch liquidity pool, that, for example, with the 1inch and Ethereum tokens, and they count it in the dollars, or they count it in the Ethereum, and they don't know about losses inside the pool, about the fees inside the pool, and they don't know how to calculate the value of the pool, not count it in the dollar, but count in the underlying assets. And they also, most of the people don't understand pretty cool the technology of 1inch liquidity protocol, because this technology protects liquidity providers from arbitrageurs. We have virtual balances inside our protocol, and when some traders swap on our protocol, the decay time is enabled, and we are waiting about 1 minute to go balance from the point A to point B linearly. And this protects from arbitrageurs that steal liquidity providers' earnings from the pool. And we can see on the statistics on the 1inch and see that then the market is volatile. A lot of earnings goes to the liquidity providers. And for example, when new token released, this type of tokens are also very interesting for liquidity providers because they can catch a lot of earnings from new release tokens. Yes, and maybe not all understand it because we haven't docs. I don't know why, but we have UI for it.
Amazing. Okay, that's pretty insightful. So we are almost coming up on wrapping up. So any final thoughts you'd like to share? Any upcoming, features? Any words to the hackathon participants with the D&D? What do you? Any final closing thoughts?
I think that people who participate in hackathons on the right way, they can learn a lot from these competitions, and I wish them to bring more experience from this competition and find more interesting friends, people inside the space, inside the technological space, and maybe also business development space. There are a lot of different professions inside the DeFi, and I think we don't disclose our plans. We are something like a magic inside the box that release products and protocols fast and announce it on the launch. But you can wait for some new cool protocol.
Amazing. Okay, no, I'm pretty excited for all the stuff that 1inch is working on, and definitely the thoughtful nature to product development, like everything from your front end to even your angry horse is a very interesting choice of branding. So well, thanks Kirill for taking the time to share your experience and your thoughts with the community. I hope the viewers of this thing of this video will enjoy it. Just like I did enjoying talking to you, and we'll see you around. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.